Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to introduce a project that we have been working on for some time now. Welcome to Orbital Takes, the hottest new space podcast on the internet. I am your host, Chris Esposito. You may know me as Espo. I also go by Space with Spo. I post funny space videos online. I actually have a space podcast myself called the Space with Spo Show, but I linked up with my co-host, Patrick Stacey, for this. Pat, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks very much. How's it going, everybody? My name is Patrick Stacey. I run an account called Spaceflight Hub. That's at Space FLITE Hub. I post weekly space content from around the cosmos. Quick little videos about what's going on in the news of human spaceflight, planetary science, and other space topics. So we're really excited to bring you this new podcast.
Guys, so what is Orbital Takes? Orbital Takes, we're going to hop on here once a week and we're going to talk about the hottest space news dropping online right now. Space is becoming such a big part of our lives, and me and Pat have always been massive space fans. I started my space journey a long time ago, but I only recently started posting content about it. And probably about 8 to 10 months into my content, you reached out to me. Pat's actually been on my podcast, and that's when we hit it off. And we were like, fuck, like, we love talking about space. Why not hop on a podcast and make it relatable for everybody else out there on the internet too, right? I mean, that's pretty much how it went, right?
Yeah, when I reached out to you, I was a couple of months into running Spaceflight Hub, with an account which I started to learn the ins and outs of the Instagram algorithm and the advertising on Meta platforms, on Instagram and Facebook, and through some lessons I learned, my account just kind of grew and grew organically. I came to find you through our friends at Supercluster, and we come to find out that we're both graduates of the University of Kansas. We're both diehard Jayhawk fans, and we both love space. I've been obsessed with space since I was a kid. Since I was about 8 years old was when I saw Apollo 13, and it literally blew my mind. Yeah. And so I've been obsessed ever since. So happy to have linked up with my good buddy Spo here.
Yeah. And we're really excited about this, guys. I don't know if you guys have somebody that you just chop up like a certain topic with every single day, but me and Pat are talking about space all day long anyway. So we're like, fuck it. Let's just drop a podcast so everybody else can listen at the same time. And ultimately, we want to be at all these launches. We want to give you guys Orbital Takes everywhere, right? We want to bring you guys to the heat of the space front. So we're really excited about this. All right. So the first topic today that we're going to dive into, we have the Psyche asteroid explorer that has arrived at the Kennedy Space Center. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, we're exploring asteroids. It's 2022, and this is just like a regular thing now.
Yeah. So what's interesting about the Psyche mission is the Psyche asteroid is a metallic asteroid. So a lot of these asteroids that we've recently visited, we as humanity, I'm thinking of the Osiris Rex mission and the Hayabusa mission, specifically the sample return missions that have been in the news over the last year or so. Those are more rocky asteroids, right? When they touched them, they kind of, broke apart, and it was almost like a little bunch of little pebbles and whatnot. This Psyche asteroid is a completely different type of asteroid here. It's made of mostly metal. They think iron, but that's kind of why they're sending this, because it's a very unique body. I think I read that there may be 9 or fewer of these known in our solar system. So this happens to be the largest one. So this explorer just arrived at Kennedy Space Center. It's a pretty cool mission because it leverages Maxar, an existing satellite communications company, one of their satellite buses. So it's a commercial, public-private partnership, if you will, that was able to save JPL quite a bit of money. So since they didn't have to design this whole satellite bus from scratch, they just used an existing one. And they have a bunch of different tools on it, a magnetometer, a bunch of stuff like that. But what's one of the coolest things, Spo? This blew my mind. It is a gamma ray and neutron spectrometer. Yeah, I don't really know what that means. I know what gamma rays are. I know what neutrons are. This is essentially going to measure what's coming off of the asteroid.
The composition,
But what's so cool is the detector of this. It is a crystal the size of a baseball of pure germanium, and it's the most pure substance that humans have ever made. And so that is what crazy. Is detecting. And you're reading about it, you're just like what is it's really cool. So it's a really cool, this is the first of its kind mission to such an asteroid. So we should learn a lot about it because we simply don't have any idea what this stuff is really made of.
Yeah, this is crazy. And so it's actually not going to get there until 2026. And then it's going to enter a series of orbits like around this unexplored. It's literally a world. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but it is 140 mile, like it has a diameter of 140 miles. That is a massive fucking space rock. I mean, you could live on that thing if you wanted to.
Yeah, and we've never sent anything to explore something like this. I shouldn't say that. We've had the Dawn spacecraft visit Ceres, which is a dwarf planet. So this is kind of in between. Maybe the size of like your what was the
Osiris Rex?
Yeah, what was the
Bennu,
name of that?
asteroid Bennu.
Thank you.
Yeah. The only reason I remembered that is because Bennu is like a well-behaved dog. I made a funny video about that. So that
okay, all right,
Bennu, yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Okay, so this is probably in between the size and mass of a Bennu, if you will, and then like a dwarf planet.
Yeah,
this is somewhere in the middle of those two.
It says 1.5 billion miles away, and the spacecraft is designed to spend at least 21 months studying this asteroid. I mean, these space missions are so fucking long, man. I mean, it takes so much time. I mean, so let's just dive into Osiris Rex real quick. Osiris Rex was the first mission that we've ever touched an asteroid, which is still on its way home after touching,
second mission. There was a Hayabusa one from the Japanese a few years ago that touched, but yes, this is NASA's first. NASA's first,
yeah, and it's just crazy to me that it happened a year ago and it's still on its way back. Like, it's not even here yet. It hasn't even dropped off the goodies yet.
Right. Yeah. That was such a cool mission. I remember listening to Dante Loretta, the principal investigator for that mission. I was just learning about it and be like, man, like how, like we're really going to go and sample this asteroid and send it back. And this is, primordial stuff from the solar system that are literally the building blocks of the solar system. Right. So yeah, it's crazy. And so the topic which you'll introduce is the extension of the Osiris Rex mission.
Yeah, the Osiris Rex mission and the spacecraft will bring the sample home from Bennu September 24, 2023. But it's not even clocking out after that. So now they're another 30 days after that, they're going back out and they're going to a new asteroid named Apophis. How do you pronounce that?
Apophis, yes.
Apophis.
Yes, and this is a well-known asteroid that when NASA was first starting to explore asteroids, the technology back then was not near what it is today. So they thought that this Apophis asteroid could actually potentially impact Earth down the road. It's actually going to make a very, very close approach of Earth. In a few years, it's going to get this, in between the Earth and the GPS satellites.
Yeah, that's
30,000 kilometers up. Like, what? And certain parts of the world will be able to see this with their naked eye.
It gets within 1/10 the distance between the Earth and the moon during the 2029
That is super
encounter.
Scary. They've said with certainty that it will not hit. It's not a danger to hit the Earth, but a little too close for comfort. But the point is, this Osiris Rex mission is able to be extended, and it's going to go explore that one.
Yeah, it's not touching down though. It's not touching down.
No,
Osiris Rex touched down. This now Osiris Apex is just kind of, glancing around, going to look around.
So it's going to blip its little dust tool that it used, but it has no sample collection capabilities now. But yeah, it's going to disturb the surface. It's going to kind of, a little puff of gas or whatever to disturb the surface and see what's under there. But yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't have another sample collection capability. However, the Hayabusa 2 mission that Japan sent a few years ago, that sample return has already happened. It sent its samples back, and it is cruising out to another asteroid as well to do a second sample collection mission. So that's what the Japanese have really been specializing in, right? Is sample collection from asteroids.
This mission that we first spoke about, Psyche, is $1 billion. I mean, space missions are really expensive, but that's a lot of fucking money for like one asteroid, right?
Yeah, that's fair. But we can't possibly get this stuff here on Earth because you have weathering and interaction with our atmosphere and all that stuff that, some of this invaluable scientific data, we just simply can't get it here on Earth. So you have to go to where it is in situ.
And we are, and more rich people will be doing that in the future once they find out what they can mine up there on these asteroids. Side note, did you know that King Tut, my favorite Egyptian king of all time, had a golden, I don't know if it was golden, but it was a meteorite dagger. Did you hear about that?
I have heard that, yeah, because the Egyptians were very in tune with all these stuff falling, because if you think about it, they're in the middle of the desert and it's super obvious, in a sea of sand and there's a black rock. laying on top. That's how the people are able to find them to this day.
Yeah.
Not only there, but in like Antarctica. But yeah, so I had heard that.
All right. So, guys, very rarely online, if you're not a space fan, you'll get some of the viral space news that we pretty much talk about every day. And one of the stories this week that went mega viral is NASA sending nudes out into space to attract aliens or to somehow get a message back from an extraterrestrial civilization. Okay. So these images were revealed as part of a study. It's called NASA's Beacon in the Galaxy project. And it's basically an updated binary code message that's been developed to transmit a message to an extraterrestrial intelligent civilization. And they included nudes of humans. We'll pull them up on the screen now. And this isn't the first time we've sent news out into the galaxy. With Carl Sagan's help, we sent the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 gold records with a bunch of weird ass naked photos. I mean, they had very strange photos on that, and those were actual like images. So this isn't really new news for if you're a big space fan, but it is pretty big. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? And what are your thoughts on just like the fact that this news goes viral over something else?
Yeah, it's funny. I knew, like you, I knew about the Voyager Golden Record, and what was it? There was another one, the Pioneer. That had a similar plaque on there that depicted naked humans. So this is nothing new that NASA has done. So to me, I was just like, oh yeah, like we've already done this. But yeah, it's interesting how some of these topics bleed into the mainstream. I'm trying to think of what another one is.
No, it's when Demi Lovato said that you shouldn't call aliens because it's derogatory and it might hurt their feelings. Like stuff like news stories like that goes viral and everybody talks about it and everybody's like reposting it. And like what account does that the most? Like I think it's called Hype Beast. Everybody sends me shit from Hype Beast. They post shoes, and then like when a space story goes viral, that's pretty much it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was we see these things bleed into the pop culture from the mainstream. All the the Uranus and Uranus probes from the decadal survey, that was kind of a similar thing. But if you're nerds like us, like, oh yeah, like that's nothing new.
No, it's not. And just talk a little bit more about this. So it includes a lot. So it includes mathematical and physical concepts to establish a universal means of communication. And then they also have like our specific position in the Milky Way galaxy that could be known to like globular clusters, which is a big ass group of a fuck ton of stars together out there in the universe. So do you think that this is a dumb idea to like just broadcast our location in the universe? In my mind, just to answer my own question, it doesn't make sense to me why we're even like putting binary codes and shit. Like I have a feeling that any civilization that we're going to find is either so far ahead of us or so far behind us that this binary fucking code isn't going to mean shit. And they're going to look at this and be like, what the fuck is this? It looks like a bunch of scribbles. Like we're like, oh, they'll be able to understand. Like, no, dude, they're either already watching us and they already know that we're fucking freaks, or like they're just not going to give a shit. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I just watched Contact last weekend. And so like this is bringing up a lot of those same kind of things. Like I also watched Arrival.
Love that movie.
But yeah, two great space movies. But yeah, it's like I think it was the Voyager ones. They had kind of a similar thing where it was like two known pulsars, and it's like, hey, here we are in between these two pulsars. And so all this stuff is assuming that the aliens can like understand what the fuck we're talking about. And so if they can't, then all this is for naught anyway. So I don't know. I'm kind of the opinion like, I understand the argument of like, let's not broadcast where we are for aliens to come and find us and squash us. But like, if they can make it to us anyway, they probably already know we're here.
That's my question. Is this, anyway. Pat, this is my question. What are we looking for? Like, what do you want them to say back to us? Nothing could be good. Like, I know that, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I would love to find life out there and I would love to find intelligent life. But at some point, like, what are we expecting back? I mean, it can't be like, what are they going to say? Like, hey, nice to hear from you guys. We are totally not hostile at all. We're not killing our own fucking people at all here. You know what I mean? I have a feeling that if aliens are anything like humans, then we're fucked because humans are assholes. I also think it's really funny that we in the photo that will pop up on the screen here, you have two humans that are like raising their hands and they're waving to the aliens. And I thought it was really funny to think of that scary movie scene where the aliens, instead of like saying hello with their hands, like that's actually disrespectful and they kick each other in the nuts to say hello. And like that's like their point of saying hello. And I think it's just so funny that we think that aliens will have any idea what the fuck it means if you just wave your fucking hand. You know what I mean? I also think it's
a good point.
yeah, and I also think it's funny that like in the photo they put like it's almost like we're dropping a ball next to that guy on the left, and it's to show like which direction it is, and like it's just so bizarre that we think that we are significant at all in this universe when the reality is we're nothing. And I have one more thing to say about this. Why aren't we wearing clothes? I don't understand why like we continue to send out nudes of just, you know, Adam and Eve over here. It doesn't make sense. Like
I also was like, why did we have to draw the nipples? Like why couldn't we just have had like two people without nipples like drawn on there? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yo, Pat, they drew on the nipples. They gave like the guy a similar package to what he had in the last one. And the woman seems pretty similar. Like, but the reality is that like, when have you ever introduced yourself naked to anybody? And I just don't understand why we're fucking saying hello to a civilization that could potentially just wipe us off the face of this planet naked. Like, why wouldn't we want to wear something that, you know, we're proud of? I mean, yeah, I know clothing trends change and shit, but ultimately, like, I don't understand why we're like, that might be, I might take that as disrespect. Like, what if my, you know, what if my kids are watching this shit?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I that's a great question, man. I'm like, why do we have to be nude? Like, I get drawing the form, you know, and like, oh, here's a male, here's a female, but like, why do we have to include all the details that we like, none of us see that from each other anyway, unless we're well, I shouldn't say never, but you know, it's like that's not a thing in society. Why is it a thing for trying to find other life forms? Like,
it's bizarre. And also at the same time, my feeling is this: any extraterrestrial civilization that will be able to respond to us in due time and be like, yo, like, what's good? I feel like they're already watching us and they know this is bullshit. They know that we're all freaks. They know about Pornhub.com. Like that's my feeling on this, where it's like, this is just, I feel like it might be a waste of money. It needed to happen because we needed to update like the binary code or anything. And like, this will be good for, you know, a couple of years, but why not send them something that they actually want to see, right? Like, why not make like personalized like video messages or send some fucking Post Malone music out there or some shit? Like, I don't know. Like, what makes them want to respond to this fucking binary code message?
I don't know. They're, you know, they look a couple years ago, they're like, man, like this Harambe character just got killed. And like, I don't know if I want to go there now.
All right. And moving on here, it's officially been 1 year since SN-15, the Starship prototype that landed with a little fire under the ass, but it landed. And it laid the groundwork for where we're at today. It's been a long time.
I couldn't believe it had already been a year. I couldn't believe. I was like, wait, no. And then I looked at 365 days, and they have like a tracker down there at Starbase. It's like 365 days since the last launch from Starbase. Yeah, it sucks that the FAA is continuing to hold them back, right? For the orbital launch down there at Starbase. Ultimately, I think they're just going to end up. This is an orbital take right here. I think they're going to switch operations to Kennedy Space Center. I think the Starbase will remain there for, you know, R&D. Musk has already expressed that's what he wants to do if they can't end up flying from Texas, that they'll keep Starbase as a, you know, research and development and kind of the HQ, if you will. But yeah, that's what I think is going to end up happening, because I thought we were finally going to get one at the end of April, and then they kicked it another 30 days. And I have no reason to think that they're not going to do that again.
What's going on with the FAA right now? They need to basically clear the airspace for Starship to continue to go orbital, right? Or to try to go orbital.
Yeah, it's the environmental impact. So if Starship does blow up and it rains down fire and metal on the area, you know, what's that going to do to the environment? What's that going to do to you know, any endangered species around there? What's going to do to people who live around there? So that's what they are taking their time on. And I think it's the massive public input that they're trying to sift through that's causing these delays, because they said, hey, if you're the member of a general public you have this time to this time to submit your thoughts as to how we should move forward. And so I think the turnout for that was way more than they had initially planned or thought would happen. So I think that's what's taken so long.
Yeah, and well, they'll continue to build a Kennedy Space Center. You're right. They'll probably
I
move.
mean, they're gonna have to do that anyway. So it's like, hey, you know what? This is taking forever. We might as well get ready over here. If the FAA tells us to fuck off, then whatever. We've already been working over here anyway.
Yeah, so. and they're gonna build a Starship pad at I think it's LC 39A, which is dope. Look, guys. If you're going to Kennedy Space Center, you want to see it, you want to watch it at Launch Pad 39A. That's like the fucking sickest pad they have. You know what I mean? That's where all the history is, right?
Yeah, it's like Saks Fifth Avenue.
All right, so last story of the day here. Rocket Lab successfully caught its booster on its, was it its first attempt?
So yes, this is the first time they tried to catch it. I think they flew helicopters, maybe the last one, just to like kind of chase it down and see like how that would work. But yeah, this is the first time they actually attempted to catch it. That's
crazy. And guys, if you didn't know, they're attempting to catch their booster with a fucking helicopter, which is
gnarly, dude.
I don't know who came up with that idea. Like when you're in,
it's been around since the 50s and 60s.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. That's
interesting.
I'm pretty sure the U.S. Air Force, and somebody in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure very early on, Air Force rocket, they when they were researching this, they did the same thing. They tried to catch these boosters, and I think they found out, back then technology very different, and it just wasn't worth it. But now with all this tracking and stuff, you can really track it better. And I love the mission name, man. There and Back Again, a Rocket's Tale. Oh my god! Because Rocket Lab, for those who don't know, is based out of New Zealand, where The Hobbit was filmed, and The Hobbit, of course, is There and Back Again, a Hobbit's Tale.
Oh, that's why they did it.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, yeah. Wow.
I didn't even know that.
Because I made a video about this on Spaceflight Hub, and I thought, like, dude, this is the coolest thing. Because the Rocket Lab doesn't name their missions, like Apollo 11, Apollo 12, Apollo 13. They name them very cool, unique names. Like one of them was called Another One Leaves the Crust. Another one leaves the crust of the Earth. Yeah. So they named their missions like that. Yeah. Very clever names. So yeah. There and Back Again, a Rocket's Tale. I loved it.
Dude, that's great.
Yeah.
At some point in our history, there was like a table of guys in suits around a table that are really smart, and they were like, okay, I got it, Jim. We're gonna catch it with a fucking helicopter. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's funny that at some point, and then somebody said yes, and then another guy was like, 100 million. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think it's funny that now, Rocket Lab is showing that you could do this, even in today's day and age. And I thought it's really funny. You never know, like how, your company's gonna, be able to return the booster back to Earth. Some people might catch it via helicopter. Some people might know how to land it on their own, like SpaceX.
It makes me think of 2 points. The first is, there's you see it every once in a while. There's an idea from back in the 40s or maybe the 50s probably, and it's an animation of like a rocket landing on, like, it comes down and it lands on a ship in the middle of the ocean, and that looks very much like what SpaceX does today, right? Yeah. So like we've been thinking about this stuff since the beginning of rocketry back, in the early 20th century. Mm-hmm. Another thing it makes me think about is Rocket Lab CEO Peter Beck. He said, "I will eat my hat if we ever try to become a reusable rocket company," because he said, the whole point in what Rocket Lab is doing is small, quick payloads that aren't reusable, that are cheap, and who cares if you don't bring them back. Well, that's completely changed. And he literally ate his hat by putting a hat in a blender, blending it up, and putting it in a smoothie or something. That's crazy. There's a video on Twitter of him like literally eating his hat. So yeah, it's just funny because the game has just changed so much over these last 5 years. It doesn't look anything like it did in the first part of the 2000s, when we're like, reusable rockets, that'll be the day someday. But now you're looking at companies who are catching them with a fucking helicopter. So
yeah, and they caught it, and then they actually ended up dropping it because
which I'm not sure that it was ever their intent to bring it back whole and and be 100% perfect. They were just like, hey, can we even do this? And they did. Yeah. They're like, all right, cool. Like, this booster isn't going to be reused anyway, but yeah.
Helicopters have been on my shit list ever since Kobe died. Rest in peace. I don't know. Helicopters freak me the fuck out, because it's like, if something happens to, when the thing is spinning up there. I just don't trust it.
I trust the Ingenuity Mars helicopter.
Oh, okay. And that
Yeah.
thing has had like 20 plus flights.
Yeah, it's where they're up to like 27 now, and like
It's not
showing
even
no
news
such-
anymore.
They literally said, or they said they ran all the diagnostics, and they're like, yeah, this is literally just as good as when it landed on there. So yeah, we'll just continue doing this until it runs out.
Yeah, we're gonna have like 10 Ingenuities over there eventually. You know what I mean? Like 10 different helicopters.
There's no way that planetary missions going forward don't have some kind of drone scout. You know, they like when Sojourner went on the Pathfinder mission and it rolled around and showed that rovers work. Well, that's how we explore Mars now. So this is just the next step in that iteration.
Yeah, and if you guys didn't know, we're gonna post a quick video or photo on the screen here. So the Perseverance rover legitimately shit out this helicopter on Mars. Like it packed it to Mars. It went on like the however long month mission it did, landed on Mars, and then it literally pooped it out. And now the Ingenuity helicopter is just free flying all over Mars. And we actually have video of it too, where you can see here too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And I read that it actually had dropped out of communication from the Perseverance rover, but it's so smart. It just like chills until it knows like, oh, hey, no big deal. I'm just going to chill here. And then I have an automated sequence where I'll check every day and see if I'm reconnected. And sure enough, it did. It reconnected. So
crazy, baby. All right, well, there you go. That's the space news this week. You are listening to Orbital Takes. Like I said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to be hopping on here once a week. We're going to be traveling. You guys are going to be hearing the hottest space takes from us. And once again, thank you guys so much. Pat, you got anything?
Yeah, man. Thanks, everybody. This is going to be fun to get this podcast up and going. You know, Chris and I are buddies, and we both love space and talking about it. So looking forward to bringing you some good content going forward and at Astra.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, have a great day. Have a great weekend, and we'll speak soon.